Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
What's up, everybody? Big Herc, Prison Talk. I'm here with Blackie from Neil to Zod, and we get a lot of questions from you guys, and sometimes it's best to get somebody else's viewpoint on a lot of these questions. So I want to ask Blackie, based on your prison experience and your background, being a black male who was a Southsider, what was your interaction with the police? How did they take that? Because I know, they always want to categorize you and say, oh, you're over here, or you a blow, you're this, a crip, or whatever the case may be. And seeing you as a black man and being down with the Southsiders, I mean, how did that, go over?
For the most part, it just pretty much depend on which CO it was. Like, you had COs that, like as far as like the Hispanic ones that would see me and they already knew, like in LA County, it's always drama, that it could be hard, depending on what situation you placed in. So from them, a lot of them, I got love, and as much love as they could actually give, because of that separation. They got to do them, we always got to do us. But with them, it was always like whatever, It's like once they find out you're Southerners, kind of like, they're more curious on exactly what it entails. Some know because they grew up in neighborhoods, and some didn't, so they're curious about it. And you can't really say too much to them. It's just like, oh, well, it's nothing. They're going to ask you the basic question, like, how was it being a black in the Southern? Like, how does your homies treat you? Good, I'm cool, just straight to the point. So for the most part with them, with most of the Hispanic guards, it was straight. Only some of them, like, actually that want to fight you, But that's just, that's a whole different thing right there.
Oh, they want to try to test it, huh?
and they would. But when it came to like more like the black COs, I was cool with some of them because I did my program in LA County. I did my program. But there was a couple of them, like when it would jump off, you always have riots, And when riots jump off and, they got to separate us. And when I say where I'm from, the first thing they do is some of them are just like, okay, whatever, go there. Usually they'll just sit me outside of the door with all my homies on the inside and wait. And then they'll try to listen to the interaction to see if it's good. And then once they realize it's good, for the ones that didn't know about, being in that dorm, I haven't been there a long time, they don't know. So they're like, oh, it's a setup. So that for the most part, they'll let me go. But then I've been in other situations to where it's black COs and they want to humiliate me. They want to, send me down roads that know that for the most part, if we just had a riot with these dudes, like, they will purposely send me into certain situations in order for it to crack again, And that's just, and that's basically like the problems like I've had with certain COs. In prison, it was different. They're more curious about everything. They don't really care about, outside of what race you run with. They just want to know what's going to happen, And how could you be black and run with Mexicans in prison? Like, something's up with this guy. So anything that they could do, checking tattoos, checking, checking all my paperwork, running up in my cell, like, I was just more under scrutiny. Whenever I hit the yard, it's one of those, everybody got to know I'm there. So it's
a curiosity thing.
Yeah. And it's like a wildflower. Before I'm there for like an hour, everybody will know that there's a black Southern. It's just the way it is. And the COs, like, depending on what spot you're in, will depend on how you get treated. It's basically like that.
Had you run across any other black Southsiders?
Oh yeah. And in Corcoran, it was like 20 of us on the yard. In other prisons, there's been none of us, and in some, it's been like 3 of us. And then, so we spread out. That's why when people like, oh yeah, they thought it was, when I first started my channel, that it was a ploy, this guy's just making fun of us. But nah, they just don't understand. It's just, we have to adhere to certain rules. Now that social media is out, you can talk, but you just can't talk about certain things, and that's
right.
just point blank, you know.
That's right. Hey, very interesting, you guys. You know, to have this conversation with somebody and to see what their experience is pretty crazy. You know, I always tell people, man, no matter what your race is, prison is the most racist environment on earth. I hated it, man. You know, people watching who you talk to, like you said, C.O.s trying to categorize you, and it's unhuman, you know, because on the street you can walk by an old white woman or a Spanish woman and whatever, but it's like in prison, because this guy's white or she's, you know, you can't talk to him, and it fucks you up, man. So, you know, to hear him share his experience and to just put it all in perspective, man, stay the fuck out of prison. It's hella racial. Racism is ignorance, and you know, we're all against that. We're trying to promote harmony, understanding, and that's why I had this man on the show, so you guys could see that it's not like some person, you know, mythical individual. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, a black guy from South LA, and he's running with the Sureños. Nah, he's a real human being. You know, he can talk, he can walk, he has conversation, and his experience is real. So, you know, hope you guys tune in to his channel, Neil Dezad. This is Big Herc Prison Talk, and you know, we just keep it raw and real on this channel.
Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.